Good evening, and welcome to this edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basted. Joining me is co-host Dennis Brown. Of course, we were hoping to have boxers come on. We can say that Troy Darrell right now is having some internet issues. We are hoping he can join us momentarily. We were also hoping to have Clarence Hill join us as well, Dennis, but unfortunately, he's unable to join us this evening. But let's hope that Troy can log on, get on, and share his stories from yesteryears of the sport of boxing.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this because Troy is another legendary Bermuda sports person.
Hmm.
I was just talking to somebody last week about such a small island, but in most sports we've had so much legends in old sports really in Bermuda. So, I was really looking forward to, giving him asking him a lot of questions about, his journey, right on up to being a pro boxer. So, hopefully he could get on, but we could still talk about him a little bit.
Definitely. I remember, when we were coming up, Dennis, boxing became a big thing across this island. Whether we had, there were one point in time, obviously, Clarence and Troy were pro. We had Roy Johnson. We had a bunch of guys and a bunch of guys that were looking to become professionals. But boxing, if you can recall, they used to have boxing at St. George's Cricket Club. They've had it at Somerset. They've had it at Devonshire Rec. They've had it all over the island. But BAA was the place where the professionals they were bringing in the fights for the professionals. But it was growing, and then all of a sudden it kind of just dropped right off.
Yeah, as I was coming through, I remember, like you said, Roy Johnson's and also guys like Creon Painter,
Hmm.
um, and they have to be also have to thank people like Sammy Wilson, Forty Rigo, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name. But boxing was really big in those days, and I remember the days going. I can't remember it in Somerset, but I remember going to BA to watch Clarence and to watch Troy. So yeah, and those fights generated huge crowds. So like you said, it did drop off a bit, but now it looks like it's making a little revival with Nikki and the young boy Liam and
Yes.
Tyler Christopher and Levince.
Yes.
So it looks like it's making a little revival to come back.
It looks like he's frozen again. Let's see if he can hear us. Troy, can you hear us? Troy, can you hear us? He's dropped out again. But you have some information on Troy while he's still working out these technical difficulties. But you know, going back in his day, everybody remembers that Sunday afternoon, being around the TV when he was fighting at Madison Square Gardens. That was a big moment, not just for him, but for the country.
Yeah, it was. Every. I mean, like you said, I believe it was a football game. Everybody rushed him after the
Hmm.
football game to go and watch this fight, the title fight with, I believe it was the guy Michael Day or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
just reading some of the post-fight interviews and from his legendary manager Angelo Dundee,
Yes.
who said um, categorically that Troy was robbed of that decision in that fight. So we all thought that Troy won that fight, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, sometimes politics wins over. But
Yeah.
he gave a good account of himself.
Hmm.
One of the things I read was that Troy was never he had the distinction of never being knocked out.
Yeah.
Not you know what I mean? And he had fought. His record was I believe 26-3.
Hmm.
So that right there, that record right there, is tremendous for somebody coming from a little dot out in the Atlantic Ocean.
I wanted to talk to him as well as to talk about the challenges of having to travel, having to have guys come here because obviously the same thing's happening today with the struggles of getting fights because of the cost
Yes.
of putting on a fight and obviously getting paid for fights. We don't have that many promoters in Bermuda that have the money to you know, put on 3 and 4 fights a year. I know Tico does well with the one he does.
Hmm.
The Boxing Association have had some national championships, but in order for these guys to actually get up to speed and what is needed, I think we're lucky here now. Troy, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Troy? Let's try this one more time. Troy, can you hear us? He's having audio problems now. I guess it's getting closer, Dennis, because we
Yeah,
couldn't hear
yeah,
it
yeah, for
before.
real. For real.
It's
Getting
getting
close to
closer.
the ring. Getting close to the ring, man. Come on, get in the
Yeah,
ring.
yeah. It's almost showtime.
Rocky Brown against Troy. Get in the ring.
Let's try this again. Troy, can you hear us? Yeah, he's having all sorts of problems with the internet has dropped out again. But yeah, as I was saying, Dennis, the struggles of fighting on a regular basis. I know if you look around the U.S., you'll see a guy coming to the ring. He'll be 20 and he's already had like 15 fights.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Because of the availability of fighting so often in the States, he can go from, if he's in New York, he can go upstate, he can go Philadelphia, he can go, as many times as they would allow him to through medical, because now we know when you box, you have to wait a few weeks
Yeah.
before you're allowed back in the ring because you have to be checked medically, physically, and mentally to make sure that you're okay to get back in the ring. But the opportunities that these guys have in Bermuda are far fetched because the availability of having someone come, and the pricing to go to a fight in Bermuda, the prices are high. So you
Yeah.
can't have a fight every 3 months and charging people
Yeah.
$100 to come in or $120 to come in because eventually people will stop.
Right. And I also read one of his interviews, and he made suggestions to the local fighters about um, getting out of your comfort zone,
Mm,
meaning go to fight overseas,
yes.
because that's where all the experience is. It's okay to say, and that's like any sport. It's okay to say you're going to play in Bermuda or box in Bermuda, but
Hmm.
the test is when you leave Bermuda. You're living in a different environment. The food is different. The environment is different. The people are different. So the test for our guys, and I would like to see our guys, if the opportunities arose to fight more outside of Bermuda. And I see the last fight with I believe Tyler is now
Christopher.
living in England.
Yes.
So I believe he'll get more opportunities to fight than the
Yeah.
guys who are based here in Bermuda. So and that's where you get the experience, and
Funny
that's
enough,
go ahead.
he's due to fight either this weekend or next weekend if he can get
Right,
on the card. And I believe he's on the card.
right,
I can't remember the I think it's the 9th. So it'll be this weekend. He's due to fight. So
right.
hopefully he's on the card, and here's another opportunity 3 weeks
Yep, yep,
after.
yep. That's it.
So that's the availability of being in a big place that they have so many people fighting, as opposed to being in a small place like Bermuda
Yep.
where you might have 10 fighters, but all of them fight in different weight classes.
Exactly, exactly.
You know
And I
what I mean?
think
So
I mean, you only could do so much training. You know what I
right,
mean? And at the
yes,
end of that training rope is, what I mean, you're looking for a fight. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? And to fight once a year, or what I mean. I would like to see our guys in the ring at least 3, 4 times a year, at least. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And with that, you gain the experience, and you know what I mean. So hopefully, that will pick up. Whereby the fighting more, but You know,
Mm,
we have some good talent. Andre
yeah,
Lamb, Nicky Bascom, Tyler, LaVince, and you know what I
yeah.
mean. Some guys coming through. So you
Youngster
know,
Roach over in Canada. Yeah,
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 yeah, exactly, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So you know what I
Adrian
mean.
Roach. Yeah, Adrian Roach.
Adrian,
Yeah.
yes,
The thing is, I mean, okay, so it it's quite costly, but it's you got to take a chance. You've got to find a way to make it work for you if that's what you want to do. It makes no sense to have because you often hear people say, "I don't want what ifs. What if
yep,
I would have taken the opportunity? What if I
yep,
don't have no what ifs when you finish?
yep. Do it. Just do it.
You do it.
Just do
If
it.
if 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 somehow or some way, some reason you go broke, at least you could say you tried and you weren't afraid of trying it. And yes, it is scary to be broke, but if you have people backing you and on your side, you know Bermudians will support at some
And
point in time. They will support.
and
I believe that.
I agree with that 100%. And although their dynamics are different,
Hmm.
Tyler Butterfield, his dynamics are different.
Yes.
Flora's different.
Hmm.
You know, they had the backing right from the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they would have never been world class athletes if they stayed in Bermuda. You
That's
know,
right.
they got out of Bermuda early. I believe they went to school or whatever, and
Hmm.
never came back, and just
Right.
stayed on different circuits. Tyler with the triathlon circuit, and
Hmm.
well, both with the triathlon circuit.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
know they would have never reached world class standard with you know being based in Bermuda. They had to get out of here, take a chance, dive into
Hmm.
the diving and you know I mean history has shown that you have to be there to succeed.
And even in the sport of football, if Clyde Bass wouldn't have taken the opportunity at such a young age to go,
Yep,
he would have never been the one breaking that barrier.
yep,
If if
exactly.
if if Nicky Wells would have thought Danny Town Hornets was the end all be all, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Yep,
Because you
exactly.
gotta take that chance, and you have to have support in helping you with the decisions you make. That it's the right decision for you right now to take that opportunity because you could always fall back to something. And
Yep,
the
that's
other
it.
part is education.
That's it.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it's about like you said, life. And I was just telling someone this morning about risk. Um,
yeah,
every day you leave your house is a risk. So you
yes,
know what I mean. So and it's the same thing if you if your interest is boxing is a risk that you know what I mean. You could go out there pursue your dream, and at the end of the day, it may work out, it may not work out. So
right,
it
right.
will not work out if you don't take that risk.
Yeah,
You know what I
let's
mean.
try him
So
now. Troy, can you hear us? Please. Can you hear us now, Troy?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. All
A
right.
lot better than before.
Okay. All right. We can hear
Y'all can,
you a little bit. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
can you hear
Troy,
me?
All right. Can you hear us? Oh man, his internet is really, really spotty. Really spotty. Okay.
Okay.
It's in and out. It's in and out.
How you doing?
Okay.
Troy, you don't have to be scared. My nickname's just Rock Braun. You ain't got to be scared to come on. My nickname says Rock Braun.
You scared him off the, you scared him off the set, man. Come on, man.
Unbelievable.
He didn't want to get in the ring with no rock.
Oh no, I don't want to get no real Troy either. No sir. Oh no.
Unless you're in his corner.
I'm telling you. Oh yeah, I'll give you water and the ice and stuff like that. But it was good to see that. I mean, a legendary manager like Angelo Dundee, who managed Muhammad Ali,
Yes.
to you know what I mean. He held Troy in high esteem. You know what I mean. So
Yes.
that was absolutely brilliant. So hopefully he'll come on.
Yeah. Let's try this now.
It was
Last
so
time.
better.
Troy, you can hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Wherever you are, stay where you are. Because you can hear us, we can hear you.
All
So
right.
so So let's jump right into it, Troy. How did you get involved in boxing?
Uh, but at a young age, I'm 7 years old. My brother Larry, Larry Darrell Cracks, they took me to the youth center, and the first guy I saw up in the ring was Roy Johnson. He was on the
Okay.
stage working out, and I just I got overjoyed with that. I wanted to know if I could do it, So I kept asking. The coach was Stanley Trim. I said, and I started asking Stanley Trim. I said, "Hey man, look at me a fight. I want to fight. I want to fight." So
7 years old.
yeah, at 7 years old, and so they looked around, and they had a fight at the youth center, and the first one I couldn't get on the card. They couldn't get me no opponent.
Mhm.
So my mother got my auntie with my cousin Greg, Gregory Darrell. He was named Gregory Washington, but Gregory Darrell. And we had a boat. I was like 7 years old, and he was 9, and we had a draw. And that was my first
Oh
trophy
wow.
right there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Dennis, getting on before
Hey,
your
good
years.
night, Troy. How you
Hey,
doing,
good
Troy?
night. How you doing?
Cool, man.
I'm all right.
Good to have you. Good to have you on, man. So how big was guys like Sammy Wilson back in that day? Because I think he was big in PYC back. How big of an influence was he back in those days?
Oh, Sammy was like a god, man. Sammy was the guy, man. Sammy was always positive. You know what I mean? And Sammy always encouraged everybody, man. And he was right on you. Sammy was right on you. You know what I mean? You couldn't do a lot of ignorance around there. Sammy was a big influence in my life, man. He made a big difference. My first trip, uh, on a camping trip, was from the Pembroke Youth Center. I was 12 years old, and from there I started traveling every year after that. With this, just through. Hey, Sammy, I don't know. Sammy looked out for all the kids, but I got lucky.
So
Mm.
let's take us to your
Yeah.
uh first amateur fight. Do you remember that? Your first amateur fight against a foreign opponent. I believe that was the
Yes, I
guy.
remember that very clearly.
Was that the guy Jake the Snake? Was that Jake?
No, no,
Okay.
no. My
Okay, tell us
first,
about
my
your first
first
amateur
foreign
fight
fight, but well,
as an
as an
amateur.
amateur was Canadian.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I was Canadian. I was 13 years old.
Oh wow.
What happened was they brought down a team from Canada, a guy named Ricky Anderson, Cream Painter, Clarence Hill, myself. Can't remember. It could have been a few other guys, but I think. Well, anyway, me, I put this guy named Ricky Anderson, and back then I was probably pretty cocky, but the guy took a hold on me, man. He put some licks on me. My
Oh
first
wow.
international fight. Yeah, I couldn't catch him. The guy put so many licks on me, But what happened was after that, months later we had to go Canada, fight them out in Canada, the same guys. And that's the first time I traveled with Clarence Hill. 13 years old, me and Clem Painter.
Okay.
Went up to Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. And I done the same thing. What he done to me down there, I done better. I whooped them out there.
Okay.
I done better. So I was in the Eddie Shuffle and all that time there.
So and that was one of the things I was telling Earl earlier, like before you came on, about having that international exposure, not just being satisfied to be performing in Bermuda. Is a big world out there. I saw that in football too. And my Somerset team ran away when I was 12. We were unbeaten for 3 years. And our first game we played, we lost 7-1. You know what I mean? But that opens your eyes to what's happening out there. And so you learn, so that shows us that you learn from getting whooping in the first fight um, to whoop him in the second fight. So how you feel about guys boxing in Bermuda compared to being overseas?
Yeah, Bermuda, man, like, I mean, it's a new world, it's a different world out there, and like, for me, and all these guys, like, after a while, I couldn't even fight nobody locally. After about 13, 14, I was so advanced just from that one trip, and I,
Oh,
trained, but you have to get out of here, in Bermuda, you have to go overseas. Because as an amateur, you come across all types of fighters. These guys, you got your sluggers, you got your counter punchers, you got your, your boxers. I mean, some wild guys. It's just a different experience, and it opens up your eyes. You know what I mean? Like just traveling, seeing different things, and I mean, in Bermuda, you're on one track. You want to go and see the rest of the world and see what they're doing, and then try to improve yourself and get back and get on that level.
Mm,
Like back in the day when big guys were fighting, we was fighting international fighters. I mean, some guys were fighting novice, then you had some guys fighting open class fighters. When you're talking about an open class fighter, you're talking about guys that are getting ready to get themselves to go turn professional. And I was fighting open class fighters from like 14 years old. And I was
if you could hear me, Troy.
for a time I was I was really doing well, like, as an amateur, and I was
Mm,
beating everybody that was coming down there.
right,
You're just staying at one level.
right. If you could hear me, Troy, when did you decide to go pro, and why was it that time that you decided that?
You got me?
Yeah, I was asking, when did you
You
decide to
lost
go?
me?
No, no, we can still hear you. You can hear us. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. If you
Uh,
okay,
yeah,
okay, you
I'm
can hear
saying,
me.
what I was saying was a big difference in difference traveling. Getting out of Bermuda and going to see the rest of the world. It opens up your eyes, and it's a whole new world. And like I said, you got all types of fighters out there. Bermuda, you just have certain fighters, and you got guys out there that just do that every day. You're not doing it every day in Bermuda. You got like amateur fighters out there that's fighting, you know, uh, twice a month. But the time them guys hit 18, they had like 200, 300 fights, amateur fights. So by the
yeah.
time they go professional, they're seeing every style there is out there. So you gotta get out of here.
Mm. All right. So
You gotta fight guys overseas, from Canada, the islands, wherever.
yeah. So let me ask you again. When did you decide to go pro, and what was the reason behind that decision?
Uh, well, Clarence Hill helped me. There's some guys looking at Clarence Hill, but Clarence was in England at the time fighting, and he told them about. They asked him, is there anybody else in Bermuda that think is good?
Mm,
That has the talent, and he told them about me. So then Eddie DeMello, which he must have he knew them he knew them guys, the Pisani brothers, and Eddie DeMello called me up and kept asking me about, look, these guys want to see you, they want to bring you up to New York, they want to know if you want to become have a career in professional fighting. So at first I was like, nah, I don't know. And then they called me a few times. So I said, yeah, all right. He said they will take me up there, look at me for about 2 weeks, take me to different gyms, check me out, and then I can make a decision from there.
mm,
So that's what they done. They took me up there. Um, took me different places. At sparring here, sparring there in boys clubs and different gyms and in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, upstate New York. And then, before I came back, they said, "Hey, man, I think, they got potential." And, I got coaches out there looking at me. They told me they think that I have potential, so they want to sign a contract, So I said, "Hey, man." And at the time, I'm nervous because I really didn't have no real backing. I didn't have nobody like my family wasn't really there for me. You know what I mean? I didn't really, so it was up to me. I said, "Look, I didn't have too much of a life in Bermuda at the time, being like 18 years old, going 19. I said, look, I got to take a chance. You know what I mean?" So I ended up going, and there it started from there. Me and Clarence had my first fight in Syracuse, New York. Me and Clarence.
Mm. Dennis?
Yeah, how big of an influence was Clarence on you? I mean, it's too bad he couldn't come on the show tonight because he had internet issues as well. But how big of an influence was Clarence on you to pursue boxing?
Yeah, I think it's frozen. What we'll do, Dennis, we'll take a quick commercial break and hopefully it's sorted out when we come back.
Okay, cool.
Say that again.
Okay, you can hear me? You can hear me?
Troy, can you hear us? Okay. If you can, Troy, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. Okay.
John Barrett and Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than the certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Yeah, while the commercial break was on, he dropped out, Dennis. Let's see if he can get back on in a few minutes. But as you were saying, and as we talked earlier, taking that chance.
Exactly.
18 years of age. 18 years of age.
Take the risk.
Yeah.
And I see it now with a lot of in the football arena where a lot of parents are sending their kids out early, like 13
Younger and younger,
and 11. And I remember because Johnny used to train with Bermuda's Brazilian football school outside of his North Village training, and I remember his daddy telling me one day that he's gonna take a Johnny out when like he's 11 years old, and hey, you can see what happens when Bermuda talent gets out of her early. Like Remy,
Right, yeah.
Remy used to be a neighbor of mine, and his daddy
Mhm.
used to say, he's getting him out early, and all the younger like Kane and all these guys left.
Yeah.
Jared, Jared's gonna be another one who's gonna improve at
Mhm.
some point, but the earlier we get our kids, because I remember a Dutch, we had some Dutch coaches come down to do a camp, and one of the things he said is that Bermuda from 15 under, 15 down, are just as good as a lot of his Dutch boys in Holland. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? But something happens once we go 16 and up. But we have the talent to compete with anybody right up until 15 years old. So it's just a matter of exposing our boys and girls. You know what I mean? At a very young age.
And the good thing for that is you get them out early, so they don't fall into the Bermuda Bear habit.
Yep, exactly.
They learn the good habits of the people that they're with, training ethics,
Yep.
working hard, all of that. Troy, let's see. Troy, can you hear us now? Can can you hear us now, Troy?
Yeah, I was contact. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, okay.
I can hear you
All right, Dennis.
now.
Okay, go ahead, Dennis. You had a
Hey, Troy,
question.
I asked you a question about how big was Clarence as an influence on you once you became a pro boxer? Because I believe you guys stayed in New York at the same time.
Yeah, parents are big influence, my, you know, from young, I'm always look at their parents, I professionals. We both had the same parents when we came up and lived together, living in this house, and then parents moved out with us in an apartment. I used to stay, well, we both stayed in New York, and we was both training, flying for gym. We both got the same trade.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
man.
these guys have got a big story, man. Mercy.
Yeah,
These guys have got
I'm gonna have to figure out how to get him and Clarence.
Him
Probably,
and Clarence on.
yeah. I would probably have to go somewhere and get them to come to me, and then we could do it
Right.
like
Yeah,
that.
that
Um,
yeah, it's yeah, we're missing a lot. The Bermuda public's missing a lot, you
a
know.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Troy, you
said
can
you
hear us
missed a
now?
lot? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You said you
yeah, yeah.
missed a lot?
We missed most of what you
We
said
missing most of what you said, yeah.
with Dennis's question about the influence of Clarence on your career.
Okay. Yeah, but I was saying we both had the same trainers. We lived in the same house, but after a while, Clarence moved, got his own apartment. But we worked out at the same gym. But Clarence ended up getting another coach. But I had the six-time world champion, M.L. Griffith, and his cousin Bernard Forbes. These guys from the Virgin Islands. His
Mm.
cousins. M.L. Griffith, you ever heard of him? Six-time world champion. He was back in the day, he was a buddy puncher, but yeah, and like I said, you guys fought at like Madison Square Garden, White Plains, Scarsdale, Rochester, different places. We all, we both fought there together, traveling, and but like I said, he was a big influence. Kept me going, and he was doing training together, like going for runs and
Mm,
hitting the golf course. So it was a big influence in my life. Clarence altogether was a big influence in my life for boxing. Right from the word, like I said, 13 years old. When I first met him, like in maybe 72, 73, at the Pembroke Youth Center. And from there, hey, I'm always, we guys were boxers. And we was
mm,
good friends, you know what I mean?
mm,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. So, and even when he got the the bronze medal, I was right there with him, sparring with him. Even though Clarence eased us up, he could have, he didn't want to hit you guys too hard, but me Clint,
Yeah.
hey, you guys were there. And hey, like just sparring with him made me stronger, you know what I mean? Because he's a bigger guy, I'm a small guy. And it just made me better. It gave me more
Yeah.
confidence. So by the time I fought guys that was in my weight class, it was no problem, you know? And it just gave me confidence at the same time.
Mm. We have a question for you, to ask you about a larger day. I guess the fight.
The fight that you won, that they
Right.
robbed you. They robbed you.
Uh, yes. Yeah. That was funny, man. That failed fight there. But what it was, I fought out BAA. I was under Burn Crusher Smith. I was co-main event at BAA on the
Mm,
outside. Burn Crusher Smith was the main event, and after that fight, I thought I would have probably had a couple of more fights, but they told me, I couldn't get no fights. Nobody didn't want to fight me, and time just went on. But at the same time, I'm watching a lot today on TV. You know what I mean? And then one day I was just walking, and I'm Nikki Bascom's daddy, Briggs Bascom.
Yes.
Uh, he drove up beside me and said, "Hey man, I see you finally got this fight on my lodge today." I said, "Not me." He says, "Yeah," and this is like 10 months later. You know what I mean? Like 9, 10 months later. So I'm saying, "Not me, man. I'm not fighting a lodge today." He says, "Yeah, man, I just heard it on BBC News." I said, "What?" So the next day I called my manager, and then he says, "Yeah, we finally got the fight." So I said, "Well, look, man, I need at least one or two fights before I fight this guy. This guy's been fighting." He said, "Look, we might never get another chance, and look, we got a big opportunity. Look, we gotta take this." So I'm like, "What can I do?" You know what I mean? Hey, they signed the papers, they signed the contract. So next thing you know, I'm only playing to Miami, getting hooked up with Angelo Dundee, and that's how that went. But see, my first round, I was a little, I said, "Hey," when he came out there with two girls on the side, music playing. I said, "Hey, this is the
Yeah,
real
yeah.
deal, man." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was a little jittery. You know what I mean? A little nervous. I mean, you're gonna be nervous anyway, but uh, so by the time the first round, man, and he dropped me twice in the first round. Now, after that, all them Bermudians that came to see me, I said I couldn't let them down.
mm,
So I said I put my head down and said, "Look, this is it. I'll do or die." And I just, but it was a good fight, man. But like I said, I think if I had one or two fights, I would have been in a better position. You know what I
mm.
mean? My confidence would have been different. You know, but hey, that's how it is, man. But they knew what they was doing. I guess I was a stepping stone for him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have had to get lucky to knock him out. I probably had to knock him out.
Right. And working with someone like Angelo Dundee, what was that like for you?
And it was a driller, man. I mean, they told me 1985 that I was going to they got a deal with Angelo. I'm going to Florida to train with Angelo Dundee. I was like, huh? Hey man, like,
Oh,
I was shocked. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, man, all right. So, then I said, look, you got anybody that you could take with you? Like, if anybody that you could, beat on it with you, like, who you want to take? I thought about this other guy, Bernard Forbes, the guy that I was telling you about, one of my coaches. But then I said, well, look, I know 40 Rico will come with me. So I turned around and said, look, let me talk to 40, and I could bring 40 out there. And,
Mm,
40 was willing to come. So, he's like a companion for me, you know what I mean? And a
right.
coach at the same time, so I got 40 out there because, they put us up in a hotel, and then I was going to the gym, working with Angelo and, everything like that. But it was another world, man, working with Angelo Dundee. That was a legend coach, you know what I mean? It was a thrill, man. I was overwhelmed, just being there was exciting, man.
Mm. What got you when you're able to answer? Dennis always asks us this. What advice do you have for these young guys who are coming up in the sport now?
Well, if you want something, you really got to go for it. You know, like for me, as a youngster, like my life was a little different. You know what I mean? A little rough around the edges, but you have to dream. You know what I mean? You gotta think, you gotta dream. You know what I mean? You gotta want it. And if you want something, you gotta put your head down and go for it. You know what I mean? Uh, things don't always go the way you want to. You want it to. You know what I mean? But if you think big, things gonna happen somewhere along the way. Like you said, you reach for the sky. You know what I mean? And if you don't make it, at least you'll be amongst the stars. You know what I mean? So for me, I just would say, just keep doing what you're doing, and put in the hard work. But no God, no glory, no pain, no gain. And a lot of days I was there. I said, man, do I want to do this? I mean, hey, it's tough. Being a boxer is tough. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you got enough boxers going to take you with. You know what I mean? You got to run like 5 miles, 6 miles. Some days I got to run 10 miles. You know what I mean? And then I'm gonna say a lot of training. You got some guys when you see them, they're fine. He's getting the best of you today. Hopefully tomorrow you get the best of him. You know what I mean? His boss getting it. You know what I mean? And then you gotta go face the next thing.
Dennis?
I think he's froze again.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, these guys have got some stories, man. I would like to mercy.
If you really want it, then you gotta go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely.
You got that?
I'm gonna definitely have to.
No, you're freezing. You're freezing.
Yeah, towards the end, you were freezing there, Troy.
Hello.
Yeah, we're here. You can hear us now? You can hear us now? I can hear your audio. Here in a second. I can hear his audio. Yeah, Dennis, I'm gonna have to get those somewhere. Get them both together. Yeah. And work it out. Yeah, I think that would be the best thing because, like you said, these guys have got some amazing stories,
man.
and only they could tell them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
A lot of people talk about, I was there at this particular fight, but we want to hear how these guys prepared for these things.
Yep, exactly.
The mental challenge, the physical challenge. But I made out that he was talking about, as a fighter, he was always asking himself, do I really want to do this?
Yeah, exactly.
Do I really want to, because as a professional, you do go through those times, right?
Yes.
And you hit those bad patches, even amateurs. If you're a girl school and you get a bad patch, do I really want to do this? Is the right training? Is this? You start doubting yourself,
exactly.
So we want to hear those type of things. So I think getting both of them at the right place,
at a location,
that
would be good. That would be good. That would be really good.
Definitely. So what we'll do is we'll take a commercial break and hopefully he comes back. Yeah. And if not, then we'll wrap up this edition. Okay? We'll be right back.
All right.
The use of butter goes back millennia, and its exalted status in the cooking world and in so many kitchens is undeniable. Around 3,000 years ago, ghee, or clarified butter, was developed in India and is the cooking oil of choice in many regions of the subcontinent, and compared to butter has a higher smoke point, reduced dairy solids, and a more robust, nuanced flavor. And to Organic Valley, creators of a certified organic version of this versatile traditional staple. This month we're featuring Organic Valley Ghee Clarified Butter. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. if you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Yeah, Dennis. He's, let's see. Can you hear us, Troy? Unfortunately, Dennis is really unfortunate.
So hopefully
Yeah.
we can work something out to get him and Clarence on somewhere.
Yeah.
Troy
Troy Down,
Down,
unsung hero, who went about doing his business quietly and without any
Yep.
fuss. Much respect. Yeah.
Yep,
And
definitely.
that's true, because he went about his thing very quietly,
Yep.
and just did what he was, what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it, and never really made a fuss. So,
Troy has always been a humble guy, like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Even he used to play a little football now and then. Well,
right.
once he finished boxing, but
Yeah,
he's always been a humble guy, man.
yeah.
Always
Well,
have respect for him.
yeah. As I say, what we'll have to do with both him and Clarence is find somewhere to go, get them together, and we
Yes.
can do the same thing. But they'll be, together, and we will have the stream for them,
Right.
with audio and everything, just so they can have their story. Because
So sort of
only they
like
can
what Kim did for Dwayne Permit. Remember
yes,
he had
yes.
to
They've
meet
done
him
it at Port
somewhere.
Royal. Yes,
Right.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
something like
So
that.
something of that nature, yeah. And
Yeah.
I want to do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
So
for
hopefully
sure.
in the next 2 weeks we can get that settled,
Right.
and
Okay.
get them on. Okay.
All right, no problem, bro.
All right, brother.
All right.
You enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay.
All right,
You as well.
folks. We'll be back next week with another edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. Have a good night.